Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Fisher, and this is our channel, Our Scientology Stories, Peeling the Onion. Hope you all are having a good day today. You know, with the recent events that have been happening in the Scientology world, I started to think about this the last couple of days, and here's where the question that I had to ask is, what is David Miscavige's end game? Okay, he's 63 years old right now as I'm recording this video. And that may sound young to many people, and it is young. I'm 65 years old, but I've lost several friends recently at the age of 65 and 66 years old that were in the Sea organization and have been out for many years. Okay. So, what is his end game? What is his plan? What does he have planned for the future? And that's what I wanted to talk to you about on this video. But first, a little history. Okay, we'll go back to a little ways. David Miscavige, initially, his goal was to take power. When I met him, he was 16 years old, and we were roommates together. And then I worked for him the last 6 years that I was in the Scientology Sea organization, and I ran his office up at the Hidden Gold Base up in Gilman Hot Springs for 6 years. So I worked with him closely, and I was there when he took over and took control after L. Ron Hubbard's death. And that was what he was interested in at the time. He wanted to take over and take control. And he maneuvered with the help of the attorneys to get rid of people that possibly could have taken over when L. Ron Hubbard died, people like Pat and Annie Broker and others like the executive director international, Guillaume Lasserve, and other people. He just got rid of them and marginalized them. And he took over and took control. Okay. And then what happened after that? He then started to become a celebrity. First of all, this is him now, a recent photograph, but he became the face of Scientology. He wasn't like that at the beginning. He was a behind the scenes power broker. But then he started doing events and started getting adulation and started to get noticed as the head of Scientology. And he liked it. It fed his ego. Okay. He's a big narcissist and he has a big ego, right? So anyway, he loved that attention and he started to get bigger and bigger ego to the point where he started abusing staff. And that's when I decided to leave along with many other senior management people because we were not going to put up with it because it was not what L. Ron Hubbard wanted or would have done. It was not Scientology to us. So here's Miscavige now and how he looks right now. So how long is he going to be around? What's his health going to be like? He's 63 years old, like I mentioned. And how long does he have left to live? Well, I can tell you one thing is that for years, when I worked for him from the age of 16 on through when I knew him till he was in his 30s and beyond, as far as I know, he smoked unfiltered Camels. He smoked 2 packs a day. He was almost a chain smoker, smoking unfiltered Camels. He also drank coffee. He also, on the right there, you see Skull Bandits. And for anybody who doesn't know what Skull Bandits is, that's chewing tobacco. He would put a pinch between his cheek and gum, and they actually were in packets. And he would have them in there as if he wasn't smoking a cigarette. And then he had a spittoon that he would spit into. And so he did that for many years. And then just towards the end of when I was working for him, he met Tom Cruise, and he was getting involved with cigars. Tom Cruise liked to smoke cigars. He gave David Miscavige a really nice humidor that Miscavige put into his personal lounge. And then he started collecting cigars and he started smoking cigars. Well, after I left Scientology, my understanding is from many sources is he started drinking whiskey as well. So he would smoke cigars and drink his whiskey, sometimes a bottle a night, according to Tom DeVocht and others. So how good could his health be at this point in time at age 63? And don't forget, his father died of cancer. I think his mother died of cancer. And, he's not in the best shape as far as his lungs and his heart. And how about the stress that he's probably under constantly? Because after all, he's around SPs all the time. He's got to deal with the SPs, and that's got to really drive up his temper and his stress level. So how long does he have? That's a good question that I wanted to, bring up. What is David Miscavige protecting? One of the policies that the Guardian's office and the Office of Special Affairs follows when they're investigating people is they want to find out what your weak points are. What are you protecting? And then they exploit that in order to get you to do what they want you to do. Okay. Well, what is Miscavige protecting? Okay. Well, he's obviously protecting his position as the head of Scientology. He thinks he's the successor to the founder, and he thinks he is basically the one who can dictate policy and dictate the technology. And he's never come up with the upper OT levels because they really just don't exist. But he's protecting that position. He's protecting his position with the International Association of Scientologists and all of the donors that donate money to Scientology. So that's one thing that he's protecting. The other thing that he's protecting is his celebrity status. He became a celebrity in Scientology when he took over for L. Ron Hubbard. And then he really became a celebrity in his mind when he met Tom Cruise. And I was there when he met Tom Cruise. And basically, David Miscavige turned at that point. Rather than just being a Sea Org member like the rest of us, all of a sudden he started getting a big ego, and he had to fly on private jets, and he had to have the best made suits and specially made shoes, and get a nice car. And after we left, all of a sudden he has a security detail apparently, and he drives in a bulletproof vehicle. And Tom Cruise introduces him to the movers and shakers of Hollywood. And that's a very important thing to David Miscavige, according to Mike Rinder, who was in charge of OSA for many years and dealt with Tom Cruise and the many celebrity contacts that David Miscavige hooked him up with. The most recent story about David Beckham is one. So he's protecting his image with these celebrities and these executives as the Pope of Scientology. He used to joke that he's the Pope, the head of Scientology. And that's the way that the attorneys in the legal cases and all that, they refer to him as the head of Scientology. And like, you wouldn't do these things to the Pope of the Catholic Church. So why are you doing these things to David Miscavige? The other thing he's protecting is his own personal fortune. Okay. He doesn't get $50 a week like Sea Org members were getting, if they got paid at all. I mean, he got thousands and thousands of dollars in bonuses while I was there. He worked at Author Services before coming into Religious Technology Center, and they weren't paid like Sea Org members. They got actually paid minimum wage plus large bonuses based on the increases of the income that they generated for L. Ron Hubbard. So when you have no expenses and you're making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month, where does that money go? It goes right into your bank account and into investments. Then when he got the IRS tax exemption, all of a sudden the heads of he being the head of Scientology, they get salaries, 100,000 plus apparently, a year in order to, justify to the IRS. Oh no, we pay our top guys, top salaries, right? But then it's even worse. He also was involved with the donations that he was getting from the whales, the people in Scientology who were donating to the International Association of Scientologists, to the point we asked, well, where's my commission? I'm generating all this money. I should get a commission too. It wouldn't surprise me if he siphoned off millions of dollars from those donations and put them overseas in his own personal bank accounts. So he's protecting his financial position as well. What is David Miscavige afraid of? Okay. He acts out of fear. All right. He is a narcissist and he has a lot of power, but guess what? He also has fears. Okay. What are the things that he fears? Currently, he's always been involved in the legal cases against Scientology, and Leah Remini's lawsuit and the Danny Masterson civil lawsuits after his conviction as a forcible rapist. Those convictions and the civil suits that are coming forward, those are going to be held over David Miscavige's head in Scientology because they were involved with covering up Masterson's actions. And anybody that knows anything about Scientology and the staff and the Sea Organization, they know that Masterson and his victims, all of their statements would have been written up and turned into Scientology. In fact, the mother of one of the victims actually wrote to David Miscavige laying out the things that they had told the ethics officer at the Celebrity Center, and nothing happened. Okay. Now, Danny Masterson is appealing his conviction. That may take some time, but eventually he's been declared a suppressive person, which means he's been disconnected. He'll have to be disconnected from by Scientologists, including his entire family who are Scientologists. What does that mean for the future? Okay. After Danny Masterson, if his conviction is upheld, what's to stop him from making a deal with the grand jury or LAPD in order to turn evidence against the Scientologists that were involved in the cover-up in order to get a lighter sentence or his sentence reduced? Okay, that could be done. That's something that Miscavige should be worried about. Leah Remini's civil lawsuit, lots of harassment involved in that as well. And Leah Remini, she's going to fight this thing. So we'll see what happens. So he's afraid of these lawsuits. He's also afraid of his wife, Shelley Miscavige. Okay. She's been missing for years. She's suspected to be up at the Church of Spiritual Technology property up near Lake Arrowhead in California. She's been seen up there several years ago by Mitch Brisker, but she's basically been pushed aside to do these archival actions for L. Ron Hubbard. Why? Why is she up there? Because David Miscavige does not want Shelley to divorce him. That's why David Miscavige still wears his wedding ring, and he carries on with his assistant apparently, because he can't get a divorce. They were married in the state of California. If they did that, he would have to declare all of his assets, and that would be public record, and Shelley would be entitled to half, not to mention the fact that he has to keep her under control, because if anybody knows where the bodies are buried, it's Shelley. She knows everything that David Miscavige has been involved in for these many years. So he has to keep her under control, and that's why he's afraid of her. The biggest thing, though, that David Miscavige is afraid of, he's afraid of going to prison. I say this from past experience. In the mid-1980s, when the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Division was investigating Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard, it was looking very bad because Scientology was siphoning money off from Scientology to L. Ron Hubbard. It's called inurement, and they were doing so and covering it up. And the IRS Criminal Investigation Division was closing in on Hubbard, but also closing in on David Miscavige, Lyman Spurlock, who was in charge of Hubbard's finances, and several other people. And Miscavige and Lyman, they used to joke to me about how they were practicing their butt exercises and in order to prevent anything happening to them when they went to prison. They were semi-joking, but you knew that they were serious because it was looking very bad. And the only thing that could get them out of it, L. Ron Hubbard dying. Sure enough, he died, and that took care of that. Several years later, they got the IRS tax exemption, and the rest is history as far as that goes. But Miscavige is deathly afraid of going to prison. Same thing happened in the Lisa McPherson case in the late 1990s because he was involved with her care. And when he was actually indicted or brought up, there were charges pending in Pinellas County. That was full-time. Mark Rathbun and Mike Rinder were full-time with Miscavige in Clearwater for 2 years to keep him out of court and to keep him away from that case, to the point where he finally, it was the criminal charges were dropped, and then it was just a civil suit, and they fought that as well. But Miscavige is deathly afraid of going to prison. And that, I think, is his number one fear of what he is afraid of. Okay? So what about at 63 years old, how likely is it that he's going to go to prison? If he were to be indicted or brought up on charges, what would he do? I don't think that he would stick around. He is in it for himself. Number one, not for Scientology, not for anybody else. He's in it for himself. If he were indicted, I think that he would run personally. That's my opinion. I think he has money overseas. And what's his end game? This is what I think his end game possibly could be. He is the head of Scientology and the Sea Organization, right? Well, at 63 years old, does anybody see any successor that he's grooming to take over for him if he were to, in fact, die or if something happened to him? The people you see in the photograph here, Norman Starkey in the front, he's passed away in 2019. Behind him is Heber Jentz, who's in a senior care home. And behind him is Mark Yeager, who's as old as David Miscavige, and Greg Wilhare, who's as old as Heber. Who's going to take over for Miscavige when he's gone? And why would he even give it to them anyway? They're too old. So have you seen anybody? Has anybody seen anybody young who he's grooming, Miscavige is grooming? The answer is probably no, because nobody can stand up to Miscavige. Nobody would be good enough in his mind, and he would basically rip apart anybody who he thought might be able to take over from him. And then he would be paranoid that they might move against him and get rid of him as well. So there's no succession plan as far as what happens to him when he's gone. Miscavige has millions of dollars personally, and he's probably keeping it overseas in bank accounts where he can get to it if he ever has to. He has security around him. They're having a hard time serving him in any of the silver lawsuits. Why? Because he travels in a security cocoon. He stays in that cocoon. He doesn't go anywhere without that security cocoon around him, which is no way to live your life. He's basically a prisoner. Now, he's, well taken care of prisoner, but he's definitely a prisoner of the system and people going after him because rightly so, he's responsible for many, many abuses. Anyway, there's lots of money that he has, I'm sure, offshore. What about if he was to get indicted or anything like that? Would he run? Has he researched what countries don't have an extradition treaty with the United States? Would he get on the free winds and cruise the world just like L. Ron Hubbard did in order to avoid service and to avoid criminal charges? Is that something that he would do? Who knows? But there is one thing that I think, and this is my opinion. I think he's going to end up just like L. Ron Hubbard, alone. Whether or not he dies in prison alone or he dies in Clearwater or wherever it is he's hiding out, he's going to be alone. He has no wife. He has really no family left. And he's going to be all by himself. And people will be singing hip, hip, hooray when he's finally gone for all the abuses and the things that he's done. That's what I personally think, in my opinion, is going to happen to him. He will die like Hubbard, hiding like a rat and avoiding service, avoiding criminal charges, and then eventually just being with a few people who are with him, and then he's gone. And that's my opinion in terms of what I think David Miscavige's potential end game is. What is your opinion? Go into the comments section. I would love to hear from you all. What do you think David Miscavige's end game is? What is he planning on doing? It's not too far off and it's not too far-fetched. He's 63 years old. He has abused his body, and who knows how long he's going to last. But there's also all the legal actions that are being done against him, and maybe that's going to get him. One way or the other, he's not going to be here forever. What do you think his game plan is and his end game is? I would love to hear your comments in the opinion section, down in the comments section. That's what I wanted to say. Anyway, that is my video for you all. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel at Mark Fisher and Janice Gillum Grady. We would appreciate you subscribing. We're just over 9,100 subscribers at the time of this recording. We'd love to get over 10,000 subscribers so that way we can participate in fundraising in the future for various charities. So please, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. We also would like you to, as Janice says, rock slam the like button. That means hit that like button. It helps us with the algorithm. It helps us get our message out to people who don't normally watch these videos. So please hit that like button. We would really, really appreciate it. Also, if you have any questions, you can also ask them in the comment section. I'm interested in your opinions as well. So please ask in there. Finally, if you're interested, Janice has a book. She actually has two books, Commoner's Messenger, Book 1, A Child Adrift in Scientology Sea Organization. And then she also has Book 2, which is Commoner's Messenger, Riding Out the Storms with L. Ron Hubbard. That's Janice on the cover with L. Ron Hubbard on both books. Anyway, you can get autographed copies of those books. All you have to do is go down below the comment section. You'll see them listed there on our merchandise site, and she will send you an autographed copy of the books if you would like to purchase them. And they have photographs and really great stories. And Janice worked personally with L. Ron Hubbard for years, and also knew David Miscavige from the day he got into the Sea Organization until the day she left as well. Anyway, that is the video. I hope you all enjoyed it and find it informative. Until the next time, we'll see you later.